Yo, should be live here. Just make sure this is all over here. How's it going, everybody? We're just doing a simple cheesy stream. Oh, let me mute that. There we go. Nothing like getting that audio over audio stuff, eh? Hey, how's it going, people? I'm sure a couple people will come in as we keep drawing and stuff. Been super time constrained lately, and I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what I'm drawing. I just got a little bit of time today, and I thought I would hit record, say hi to you guys, and just draw something. I don't know what we're gonna draw yet. It's probably gonna be a guy. He's probably gonna have a lot of muscles. And again, I don't know how much time I have, so I just want to jump in and just start scribbling around some stuff. So how's everybody doing? What's new with you guys and girls? Hey, Heck, how you doing? Puppy? I know. Whew. A face only a mother could love, right? I thought it'd be nice to get the webcam back in here for you guys. I was all set up over here, but my cat jumped up, and now he's taking up some serious real estate. What should we do? What should we draw? Like I said, there's always big muscle guys. Those are always fun to draw. Maybe we could draw JESOP. We haven't drawn him in a little while. Maybe we'll just do that. I'll get real close up here. See if we can get something nice and small. Try to find a little bit of a pose or something for him. And we getting the itch to go back and start working on issue 2 again. Whenever I get the time again to be able to do all that stuff. I feel like it's going to be quite a few months, if not a year, before I can start to get back into some art again. So it'll be little things like this that'll just creep up from time to time. What can we do here? Maybe we could have JESOP running at us or something like that. Maybe we could try to play with the perspective a little bit. We could be looking down on top or something. The trick with a lot of this kind of stuff, whenever I'm trying to figure out like just something to draw, like all of these, we could turn into actual figures and all that. It's not that big of a problem. The trick is trying to find something, like a story to tell with this stuff. And if you can figure that out, usually a lot of these start making a little bit more sense. And Pet, I'm just... We have like a giant arm up here, like... We could go this way with it. This is a pretty JESOP pose. We could do it where he's reaching over. Something's pulling him down. There was like this old drawing that I did, I think, for the first JESOP story, where he was surrounded by like tentacles. We could play that up again. Let's just play with that. See what we can do with this one. Oh, I can't see my keyboard. It's way over here. Maybe we can rotate it a little bit, just to get a little extra punch in there. Bring this down a little bit. Just so we can really blow at the size of that arm. What's that? Damn, Johnny, you're about to go to bed. Hey, Richard, how's it going? Well, Don't fret, my friend. We won't be streaming long. Just sneaking a little bit of time. Yeah. So you'll be able to go to Dreamland soon, brother. Okay. Let's save this up so we don't crash. We'll just do J King. Hey, Papa. How's it going? You know, Photoshop has that stroke feature. Does clip stroke feature? Oh, like with a pen tool? Is that what you're talking about? Alright, when we got a rough in here, we can kind of start breaking this apart for our structure. Slow down a little bit with this here. Maybe we'll have his... He's going to be wrapped with like a tentacle or something here like this. But we need to know where his torso is so we can get... Or sorry, his hips. So we can kind of get his abs and stuff to follow in line. Somewhere around like that. Actually, let's lower this up a little bit more. Heck, if that's what you're asking about... again, he's asking about... I don't know how delayed the stream is, so I apologize if you are going to reply by the time you hear this. But if you're talking about the stroke feature in Photoshop, meaning like when you make a path or a line, I'm not sure. I don't think Clip Studio even has a path. Could be wrong. Let's just get like a big mountain of an arm over here. Some sort of hand coming in this way. And that usually happens when we draw on JESOP. Everything gets blown out here. Got a nice guide and then just start adding a whole bunch of more huge anatomy. Yeah, that you... Oh, so the delay is pretty big. Yeah, you can draw it and it does a silhouette. Sketchcraft does for chains and chunk. You can draw and it does a silhouette. Hey Allison, how's it going? Unless you're talking about this, I don't know if this is what he's doing or not. It's been a while since I've watched Rob's stuff. It's been a while since I've done anything. You're not talking about like, you know, doing this kind of stuff, right? Is it F8? Like this kind? Like making a stroke like that? And then if you want, you could always just thicken it up over here. You know, then you make a new layer. And you would kind of draw in the rest of the chains or whatever the hell you want to do. Like this kind of thing? Again, I'm not quite sure. Puppy, does anybody have any tips on repeating clothing designs or decal because Clip Studio doesn't have the liquify tool? Excuse me. I have used a whole bunch of Photoshop and I still have no idea what some of you guys talk about. I got an awesome guy that I work with, and he uses pretty much Photoshop for not for everything, but for a lot of like digital work, like most people. And he's shown me some stuff, like even 3D kind of stuff that I didn't even know was in Photoshop. I use Photoshop pretty much like 95% of the time at work, but when it's kind of like I just use it for what I kind of do here. I don't really go in there to do stuff, and then at home, I like never use Photoshop anymore. So I'm like so behind on a lot of the features and stuff that it does. So I apologize, I can't help you guys. Yeah, well, it does it automatically, but I guess that works too. How did you do that? I need to take notes. Oh, sure. Okay, so we'll start with the greasy pitch. I have a video. I can post in the link. Actually, you know what? I can post a link directly to it if you're interested. Me and Freddie Williams, we sell it on his website. What it is it's just an action that, like, I've done, and I'll show you how I do it. And then you can always rewatch this video or whatever. Like, I don't care about that. The only thing I offer is auto actions. Where are they? Should they be over here? I know my face is blocking a lot of it. Let me just drag it over here. So I have a whole bunch of these auto actions here that I've made. So I just press like F keys, like F1, 2, 3, or you can just click it and press play. It'll do that too. But I've made a whole bunch of these, so you don't always have to do what I'm going to show you here. Okay, so to do this kind of thing, if this was what you were talking about, so all you do is you just get like a big brush, right? We'll use a silhouette. We'll do like, I don't know. Let's make this is always fun. Little shrubs, right? So what you do is you have it on its own layer. I like to hold Control if I'm using PC. Click that layer. Is that showing up for you guys? Should be. You'll come over here, and you can do a couple of things. You can shrink this selection and fill it white. That's the simplest thing you can do. So I'll show you here. Shrink it to whatever your brush size is that you've been drawing with. We'll just say 3, and then select white and just fill it, and then you're done. Right? That's one way of doing it. Doing it this way as well. Over here under Layer Property, if you click this, it's called Border Effect. You'll see right here it's white. Just click this. You make it black, and you can make it as big as you want. And that's always nice. If you're using Photoshop to do this, you can just make a blending mode. That's what I do. And just put it to stroke, if you know what the hell I'm talking about. Or the other way you could do it too is, is, okay, I'll make the shrubs again. You can hold Control, click the layer, and instead of reducing it, you can expand. Nah, just stick with what I was telling you. What I was going to suggest is expanding it from here, but what that does, that gives you rounded corners, whereas the example I just gave you, whoops, I think I got rid of it. Okay, cool. Looks like I got rid of it. Anyway, the example that I'm showing you, it gives you sharper corners. What is it, F8? You see, like if I zoom in here, it's all blurry, but those are sharp as opposed to going outside. And again, I just have a hotkey that does that. And the reason I like doing that with a hotkey, this is the example I always give because it's always fun. People don't like drawing shoelaces, myself included, right? So you draw like where the holes would be. Bang, hit that. Bang, hit new layer. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put the shoelaces in here. Bang, make a new layer. I realize I'm screwing this up here, but you see what I'm saying? Like, you get that pretty quick. Yeah, and I kind of screwed this one up here, but you can always go back and erase it, right? And the layer will always be underneath it, kind of. And you could just go ahead and adjust it. That was just real quick, but that's it in a nutshell. It's always handy to have, especially if you're doing, like, I don't know, anything digital. I think it's a nice little thing to have in your toolbox. Because you can use it for, like, let me just put this back here. Superhero symbols and stuff like that, like Superman on his chest. You can just do like the silhouette, like all black and like the S. Press a button and it'll give you the instant line art. And you can always go back and adjust it, right? It's always fun to be able to do that stuff. Yeah, no problem. Hope that helped you guys. I'm not here. For those that are interested, give me a second. I do have a video, like I said, just search my channel. It's called Auto Actions, I believe, or Action Pack. Okay. Just give me a second. We're going to get you guys the direct link if you guys are interested in picking it up. If not, don't worry about it. Everything I have, you can ask. I can show you how to do it. Is there a share button here? No? Okay. Hopefully this works. Sometimes I can't post things in YouTube. If that link worked, let me know. But yeah, there's a whole bunch there that can turn all that stuff. With the video is actually linked in there, so even if you didn't want to buy it, you could just go through that video. It'll show you how to do a bunch of that stuff anyway. really what you're paying for, if you're interested anyway, just because it was brought up, is you don't have to go ahead and make these auto actions. It's done for you. You press the button and you're kind of good to go. Or you can save yourself some money and just invest some time, grab some coffee or whatever, and start make some auto actions yourself. They're relatively simple. It's been a hot minute since I've drawn the big guy here. I'm not sure if I like that face. It works. Awesome, Richard. By the way, up for being a guest on my podcast at some point? Yeah, yes, because I'm always up for just chatting with people on podcasts. That's cool. I don't know when, though. We just had our newborn. He's a month old. Alexander will be a month old this upcoming Wednesday already. It's been a month. Jesus. It's already getting huge. And so, like, time has just been, like, I haven't been able to really draw. It's usually just at work, the stuff I do there, which isn't comic book stuff or anything like that. But, yeah, it's I still feel super guilty whenever it's, like, the girlfriend's time to look after him. Or if I'm available to, or my fiance, sorry. I keep saying girlfriend. Jeez, it's a bad habit. But, like, when we're both home and I've just come home from work, I still feel bad of just drawing. And she's had them all day. Give her a little bit of a break, So it'll be a while. I've already in my mind, now that I've had them here and just kind of seen the way life is going to be for a little while, pretty much written this like a next year the whole year off. It's a lot of work, man. And sleep deprivation alone is, if you're a parent, I tip my hat off for you. There's things I had no idea going into it. A whole new outlook on people that have kids. If they're stressed out, if you like work in retail or anything, and you get some parents that are in there, and they don't come, and if they come across as douchebags, that's one thing. But like, if you can just tell they're stressed out, like, oh man, it's something I never would even have considered. Really, is just like the sleep. So a lot of these people, they're just probably just, operating off just basic functions, man. So don't take it personal. Thanks, Hector. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Richard. Yeah. No. It's all good. Like, I bring it up from time to time. I'm not trying to, like, announce it everywhere. It's all good. But yeah, that's why there hasn't really been any streams. Not really any art being posted online anywhere. I had a lot of intentions too to work with somebody. He started working on the basic plot for a story for a comic book, and we were going to do the Indiegogo kind of stuff like that. And I knew the baby was coming, like he was on his way. And I thought, okay, well, eventually we'll be able to get back to drawing and stuff, which we totally will, right? I keep thinking my camera's here, so when I look up, I move over there. That's where it used to be. I moved it over there so you can kind of see, me drawing and drawing at the same time kind of thing. Anyway, So I knew there'd be time eventually. So it's like, yeah, let's keep going. I just didn't think it'd be like this. So now that it has been, I'm sort of like, okay, everything's on pause. And it's not even so much the routine anymore. When we first got home with him, that was something else, man. And my first worry was like, well, not worry, but concern was, okay, well, once we get the routine down, he eats at this time, sleeps at this time, we'll be good. And then I come to find out the reality is, right, like newborns eat when they want to eat, sleep when they want to sleep. So we took some time off of work, and that was actually great. I got to see him every day, all that good stuff. But eventually I had to go back to work. That was super sad. I started realizing little things, right? Like, I'll probably not be home when I get to hear his voice for the first time. Like when he says a word. All those little things, right? And he's like doubled in size. So it's just, I knew he would grow. But it's just seeing it and being aware of it. And you're just like, man, it's sad. And we're only a month in. Add like how many years onto this, right? So who knows? But anyway, the routine eventually will come as he gets older and all that. But that's why just seeing how it's been, I'm just like, all right, you know what I think the smart thing to do is, I have a job. It's a great job. This is very much a hobby, a fun hobby. But you gotta make time for what you gotta make time for. And sleep is always gonna win. Can't mess with sleep. So anyway, eventually we'll be back in business. Where is there? We're just saying, oh yeah, I'm a parent. It's a life changer for good and bad. Yeah. Only bad when it comes to how it changes your structure. Yeah, dude. Well, at least what's that? At least I know now that he is 1 month old, not 7. Oh yeah. Super fresh, man. Richard said he missed his daughter's first step due to work. That hit me harder than I thought. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's been little things that I never thought or even considered. I had this water went down the wrong pipe. I had this thought that I was sharing with my fiance there, and it was and then I talked to somebody at work, and it sounded like I was right, or at least they saw it similar to them as well, which was that once the baby arrives, and I never thought this was the case. There's nothing that you're going to read. There's no book or nothing like that that I know of. Maybe it's out there. But, you are, maybe I'm alone on this one, but you and everything you are dies the moment that baby is born. And this first week has been just like a grieving period. There's been times where I'm like, man, I miss the small things I could just do when he wasn't here, or just having your own free time to just draw, that kind of stuff. Let alone spend it with your significant other if you have one, or whoever, right? And just the things like that. So the analogy I had was like, yeah, it's kind of like a death and rebirth kind of thing, right? Like, you can't be the same person after this. You can't. It's too big of a change, and it's good and bad at the same time, right? Like, not bad as in regret, I don't think, but bad as in like, I liked the old me. I liked that guy, that kind of stuff. So that guy is dying, right? No, they're dead. So for the first, I'd say a week and a half, it was just like autopilot survival. Make sure this is there, that's that, and then after that, it was around week 2.5. I'd say is when real life started kicking in. That old guy's gone, and like, you could get free time and you could kind of do the things that old guy used to do, but there's stuff to do now, even in your spare time. So you get sad, and then you're almost pretending to be the old guy kind of thing. If that makes sense, I don't know, but that's the way I was looking at it. It's felt that way, and then eventually, you come into that you're okay with like. The new guy that's there. The other guy that I was bringing it up to, he was saying it's kind of like if you ever have a death in the family. It's anything that's like a massive life change. Like, the old you has to die. Like, they can't stick around. It's too different. And, you know, there's going to be a grieving period there with that kind of stuff. Doesn't it sound super tragic? You're getting choked? Yeah, I'm getting Richard's saying, yes, with an exclamation mark. You actually do die and then get reborn as something better, a whole new outlook on life. See, that's... I like... Okay, Richard, since it sounds like we're on the same page, did you read anything about that? Did you hear anything? Did anybody tell you anything like that? Or is that just something you found out on your own? I'm not saying I stumbled onto something that hasn't been, you know, whatever, but I had people saying things left and right, which were good. Some were bad. Some were, you know, everybody was positive. Nobody was like a jerk or anything. But nobody really talked about that part. It was more like, okay, you know, if somebody needs this or that, you go do this and that, these kinds of things. Hey, buddy, you coming to say hi to everybody? Camera's up there, Jessup. Hey? It's right here, Papa. Over here. Come say hi. Look. Say hi. It's up here. What's this? What's that? What is that? No? You don't care? Okay. Alright, let's keep drawing here. Let's see if we can get something going. Oh, big stink, eh? You gonna be in my way the whole time? Oops. Wrong button. Okay, cool. Okay, come on, Papa. Here, you wanna go this way? There you go. Okay. Here, go ahead. Lots of room up here for you, eh? Come on. Richard's saying, yeah, that part was something he found out for himself. He may have been told here and there, but didn't know what to expect. Yeah, okay, alright. Hey, so it's totally normal. Alright. Cat here floating around here. Yes, like I was saying, I had intended on working on a comic for I keep saying for Indiegogo, but it's not for Indiegogo. Just would have been probably published through there, or at least attempted to be. Man, this cat here, I can't get away. And I had to tell the gentleman, not right now. You know, the time is not what I thought it would be. And I very much, like, I enjoy the script that he wrote, and I want to work on it some more. Not on the script, but work on the project with him for sure. I just hope that happens sooner rather than later. Again, not putting any pressure on timelines anymore. The commissions and stuff I've left open, because those, you can still kind of find time here and there to just sort of hammer out a commission. Comic books are, you know what I mean? Like, that's a full-time gig in and of itself. I don't care what your style is. It's a thing. But I've been thinking of more and more of JESOP here again, and I'm starting to miss... I feel kind of sour the way I left them. I left them high and dry. And for those of you that have never read the book or whatever, there's the first, I'll call it issue at this point, but it's pretty long. It's almost 60 pages, I think. You just go to jesopking.com. And you can read it there. It's for free. And actually, I'm going to open up sort of where we left off with the second issue in a second here. I just want to finish drawing his head here. I started doing a bullet journal. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten into that kind of stuff. And I bought, like, they look like moleskins. Look like this here. You know, these little books here. Anyway, so I started doing one of these, but at the dollar store I actually was carrying a whole crap load of these, and I remember buying like 10. And I've never filled one yet, but I bought like a whole bunch. And I saw one that I had started for Jessup, and I was just flipping through it, and I was like, man, miss this guy. All the stories that I had plotted out and stuff like that. So we'll see. And the one where my brain was kind of going, and the reason why I was bringing all that up, is the story that the gentleman that was sending to me. The difference between working with somebody and for your own stuff or on your own stuff is that you're not really beholden to anybody. Not that he was that kind of guy, but if I say, yes, we're working on something, and I start working and he's working and we're both working on stuff, when somebody starts, working on their own thing on the side, it's kind of, I don't want to say disrespectful, but it's, I don't know, it's not really classy. And I've been horribly guilty of that in the past. If you guys, those of you that have been here for a while, remember when we were working on the standard, sadly, I did that. I would do commission work over comic book work. That kind of stuff. And I don't want to do that again. So when I'm working on my own stuff like JESOP here, it's kind of like a little bit, the idea is a little bit more freeing and more appealing, right? Like it's whenever I have time, as opposed to this is the only thing I can work on because I've said that's all I'll work on. That kind of thing, Hey, Papa. Coming back again? Man, you want attention, don't you? Nobody's getting pets in this house anymore unless he's a little baby. Hector saying okay, so sweet. He's got Hector. So everybody's got kids here. Everybody's got kids. All right. He has 3 kids. The youngest is 14. You just go into super protector mode. Oldest is 22. Okay, come on, buddy. We don't want to show. This is a family show. You have to keep that covered. Come on, man. What are you? The oldest is 22, and you are never the same. But I wish I had a baby now, though. Oh, really? I'm kind of stuck at right now. My fiance and I were talking about like, ideally it was to have 2. I like I grew up with a brother, and I think I'm better for that, So I know that's there, but I'm just thinking like right, it's got to be like childbirth. I have to imagine like you don't forget about this crap, like the lack of sleep and all that. But there comes a point where you're like, hey, maybe another one would be good. I don't know. Maybe that just happens in time. I don't know. Okay, he's shedding like a storm. Come on, buddy. Okay, big jumps. There you go. Papa, same here. Having side projects feels like cheating. It's dirty. Allison, no kids that I know of and happy, but hey, you know what? I won't fault anybody, and I'm never gonna like baby shame or tell people that you know what, you really should have kids. I didn't want kids until I met the woman that I'm with now. I like my own time. And I know that's going to be the hardest adjustment for me. It already is. It's pretty difficult. It's like, damn, I just want to do this. Even playing video games right now is super tough. And you got to put in some years before you get any of that time to be able to do that kind of stuff. But where are we at here? I'm looking at that. Okay. Pillowhead, that's okay, man. Your girlfriend has 5? Oh, man. She likes kids. Take your time for the next one? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's take a look where we left off with JESOP. What do we got there? Okay. Comics. There's still cat hair here. What do we got here? This guy. Man, like there's so much fun stuff here. I can't wait to get into again, right? Like, here, let's take a little trip down memory lane if you guys don't mind. This is for me. I'm just gonna stream it with you guys. All right, we're gonna open. We're gonna bring it here. So look at this stuff. Drink and draw. Man, that was a while ago. I did this. This was before he even had a comic. This was when I had the mini comic. If you look right here, he used to have like this bar on his chest that would be like a percentage for his shields. Look at those traps, man. Oh. Boom. Allison says, oh, I have been asked, told, pleaded with to have kids. I have enough problems. You know what? there's enough people on this planet that if people chose not to have them, whatever. I don't know the actual stats on that, but you got to live your life. Maybe in whoops, no. Maybe in like 10, 20 years, once Alexander's up and running and doing some stuff, maybe my opinion will change and I'll be one of those. Oh yeah, you got to have kids. But right now, I'm on your side. Richard said I never wanted to have a kid at all, but then I had one and it was too late to run away screaming. I remember those good times before you became responsible and boring. God. Alright, let's keep going here. Look at these old pictures. This was actually drawn at work. We were designing a new Match 3 puzzle game, and we wanted to ask the public what theme they liked. So we sort of, I don't want to say misled, but I created 4 different designs of what the theme could be. And this one I was kind of thinking of JESOP King as like a chibi or a baby kind of guy. Nobody at work knows this or anything, not that it matters, but this was more for me because I got to just draw this and it was fun. So it was like Astro Blast or something it was called. These guys look very much like something out of a Nintendo game like Kid Icarus, like the little eggplant guys. I love these big fat lips. It was like really fun to draw. Anyway, so that was a theme. A recipe one, like a kitchen food, that one won and got the most votes. But anyway, I kept this one because it was always nice. I always put him back in my head. Would it be cool? And I was, Will Robson was chatting when I showed him this way back in the day. Back in the day, it was like 5 years ago. And he was saying, like, what about, like, JESOP King Adventures? And that's always stuck in my head, so I've never gotten rid of it. You guys know the chibi kind of style I do, and this one's a little different, but this kind of stuff. Now, this guy, yeah, this isn't the next issue. This is issue 3. This guy shows up. Issue 2, the story starts getting super serious. It starts getting into fights right off the crack. It's been so long, like last year, but I think this was early last year. Maybe around this time, or February last year. I don't know. But anyway, guy's inspired by some Dragon Ball stuff. There's this dude, too, who's got to show up. Lots of stuff. And we're never going to get to it. So this one's a spoiler. In the original book, the first one, there's a guy that the Doodlins talk about. His name is Scourgix. And this is him here. It's pretty cool. He's got like these look like little nipples in his belly, and he shoots them out, and they turn into like these little nibbler kind of guys. He's pretty big too. Jesop's like 10 feet tall, right? So this guy's probably 8 feet, maybe around there. I haven't decided on that. It's a little bit more classic here. And this was back when Jesop had little robot drones and stuff like that. Man, he's changed quite a bit. This is when we were drawing in Photoshop. 2016, eh? This is when we decided to go into the friendly giant route. And if you look at his mustache, it's actually open up because I didn't fill it black. I wanted to try putting like color in there so we could get some shadow. Eventually, I just went black because it just looks awesome. No, don't worry about it, Richard. It's all good, man. Here he's got the bunch of steel. This is the newest. This is the latest design. Just so I had some like turnarounds. I really don't do turnarounds, but I thought we would do it there. And this looks, yeah. This is when I was on. I'm still on Patreon. I really should get back to doing this, where I was mailing out people like a random person a sketch a month. Just even at the $1 pledge amount, at least it entered you into a draw kind of thing. I forget why we stopped that. Here we go. Yep. Issue 2. Yeah. These are sketches when I think I worked at Dollarama. This was when the story was going to be when JESOP King was a wrestler. Still like this one. What I want to do is I think I'm going to spin this into like a smaller story where he has to wrestle for something. And in the first issue as well, I talk about him being into wrestling. So there's a little bit of that too. I really like the way that came out. Look good. 2012. This is when he was a bounty hunter, I believe. Hey Barry, how's it going? Christopher, how's it going? Great to see you working on JESOP again as a creator. I think it's wonderful. Thanks, man. Thank you. His big bear muscles. He is a big guy. And this was the villain of the wrestling one, Malice. He's got the big belt. So this storyline I'm definitely going to put in there too, because it was really fun. I got that all plotted out. Yep. It's always fun to draw Cyclopses, right? Momo, when she was a wizard. I don't know why he's there. This one looks, he looks different here. He looks more like a, this is a different style of drawing him. This is when I worked at EB Games. That's the back of a receipt. The morning was dead. Sometimes I would do opening shifts as a key holder to put stock away and stuff. And I'm sure many of you that work jobs that aren't art related, or if you like to be doing something art related, and you kind of, you just got to vent and get your stuff out there. That's part of what that was, working on all that there. A lot of text. There he is. This was another wrestler, Yellow Angel Jr. All these guys, I want to get back into it. I think I had a better picture than that. That anatomy is really messed up. Ugh. Okay, anyway, let's go to issue 2 real quick. I don't know where we left off. I think we're in line art still. Page 2? Yeah. Here we go. I think some of you guys were here while we were doing this. Let me see if I can turn off this. Try to find the grid. Well, hold on. Oh no. I think I put my line art on the actual grid layer. That's horrible. Because I'm turning this off and the color's disappearing. Oh no. I don't even know if that's fixable. Okay, well. Anyway, yeah, so he's fighting all these dudes. You can see he even looks a little bit more whatever. Did we do some silhouettes and roughs? Okay, we did it all. Yeah. Anyway, so it looks like we still got a whole bunch of work to do on that one. Anyway, this one's just for fun. We're just doing a little sketchy tonight. Nothing crazy. Speaking of which, John releases animated scenes. You can get rid of the blue. No. Okay, so what I normally do when I'm doing a perspective, at least I know when I was doing that, is how you get the grid that you can put in here in Clip Studio? I don't like using that sometimes. Sometimes I'll draw my own in there, but I'll use 3 different colors for each point. So I know red's always going this way, green's going this way. I usually only do that when the perspective points come in, and it becomes really hard to look at them and to remember which one's which. So I try to have them all kind of, a different color. But when I was turning that layer off, normally I have that on a separate layer. It stayed. And the line art was leaving when I was turning that off, like the black liner, and that's not good. So I'm not worrying about that right now because I'm not working on it. But when we do get back to it, that's going to be a huge problem. It's a massive problem. How's that look over there? Is that whatever the grid line color is? What I'm saying is it's flexible. You can get rid of the blue. Oh, well, yeah, maybe. I'm hoping I can. I know there's this, what is it up here? Convert brightness, opacity. I don't know if that gets rid of the colors. I think I see what you're saying. I think you can go in there, you can remove colors like in Photoshop, right? Like removing blue line art. So just select the different colors. Is that kind of what you're saying? Puppy. And then, sorry, now how much time? For then and now, how much time do you put in for practice and for art/work? Okay, so I work, what is it, 9 hours a day, 9.5 hours a day, with an hour lunch. So at work we have an interesting thing that we've all kind of signed on to, and it's actually really good. We work 9.5 hours a day. What that lets us do is Friday we get done at 3 instead of 4:30. Like we work till 4:30. So Fridays we work till 3, and then the second Friday we have off. So we all kind of put in extra time during the week, like an extra hour, hour and a half, and then what that does is that gives us rollover so that we get extra time off, kind of like a 3-day weekend. Like I've got this weekend coming up where I'll have the Friday off, which has been great. Especially when we were working on JESOP like full time. That was awesome because I felt like I could put in a solid day. And the pages for JESOP, they were going like fast, if you guys remember. And I recorded all that, like how long it took to do stuff. So I've got a record, and I believe it was taking like only about 6 hours a page from start. Not from start. From this here. If this was my page ready to go, it would take me 5 hours to go to final line art, inks, and colors, which is great. But anyway, so I don't really put in time for. I don't mean like put in time for practice, like schedule it. I just sort of do it. I'm trying to think of a better way of saying that so you know what the hell I'm talking about. So practice is important, but I've made a very conscious decision going way back even till last year or the year before is I'd rather be creating or making something instead of practicing. I figure you can practice as you go, whatever the thing is that you're making, you're going to learn as you go. So that means there's going to be some learning pains and stuff like that. My old way of working would have been, grabbing like an anatomy book and studying anatomy. I had a schedule and it fluctuated, but really when I got super serious into it was the end of high school, so grade 12, first year of college, where I was drawing, I'd say 4 days a week, or maybe it was 5 days a week, including the weekends, because those are just great. You can just pretty much, especially when you're in high school and that, unless you got a job, even then you're probably not full time. You just got to maximize the time you have, and if you have a lot of time, then it's great. If you don't, a lot of this stuff really suffers. Like right now, with my newborn, I can't do anything. So I'm not like practice. I guess it's more like sketching, like what I'm doing right now. It's keeping the skills that you already have good and strong, and you'll learn more just based on how you're drawing anyway. But I'm all over the place, I know. But when I was in college and high school, it was like 4 or 5 days a week where I was putting in like sketchbooks, man, like of anatomy, just bang, bang, bang. And I'll tell you this, in hindsight, I don't think I would have done it that way. And I really don't recommend people do that. I think studying anatomy and that kind of stuff, especially if you're doing like superhero comics or whatever, or just in general, anatomy is good to have. Like it's a good skill, right? But if you're lucky enough to know what you want to do, don't waste your time, and I'll call it wasting your time just doing anatomy or learning perspective just for the sake of learning it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But if you know what you want to do, then you can kind of custom tailor what you're doing for that. So, long-winded way of saying, let's say you want to do comics. That's 100% what you want to do. You know that. I would recommend, like, the 80-20 rule is awesome. Meaning 80% of doing one thing and 20% of, what is it? Sorry, I'm always all over the place. 20% of what you do nets 80% of the results. I believe that's what it is. Somewhere along those lines. You could always mess it around. But if you want to do comics, just 100% put all your time and effort, like 80% of your time and effort, into making comics. They're going to suck. Your anatomy sucks. All that stuff sucks, right? That's fine. Because the cost of doing like what I did, where I was studying a lot of anatomy, and arguably my anatomy, like right now, this makes no sense. I know this area right here is messed up. Triceps don't work like this. I know that. This doesn't fold in this way. I'm hoping it just looks cool, and I've moved on. Like, I'm okay with it. Before, this wouldn't fly. I would have to look at something and go, does this make sense? So learning how to draw anatomy and all that is great, but if you want to make comics, because in the process of making that thing, you're going to see your weaknesses and naturally improve on them. You know, the next time you have to do a perspective scene, maybe this time you'll look at a book, or you'll grab that perspective book and you'll go, oh, okay, this is how they're kind of talking about doing perspective, and kind of that way. I'm a big believer of, and again, that's more of the action as opposed to sitting back and waiting until you're good enough to start something. Everybody's usually crap at something when they start, right? So if that's the case, don't hold off on what you want to do until you become great at it, because it'll never happen. Like, people could enjoy what you do, and if you're lucky enough for that to happen, that's great. That's a great way to, like, a great place to start, is to have like a fan base of people that like what you're doing anyway. You're gonna learn as you go, you know. I know that probably doesn't exactly say or answer your question. The time I was putting in, I would say, I forget when I was done high school, but okay, if I was done at 2:30 or 3:30, and when I wasn't working my part-time job, I was probably drawing 5 hours a night. But I wasn't really out partying or socializing often. It would just be at home with Andrew Loomis, George Bridgman, and Joe Madureira in some Capcom video games, where I would pause, like in Street Fighter, I'd pause it and then draw the characters. This is when the internet wasn't, like it is today. So that's what I would recommend. That's what I was doing. And then in college, it never really stopped. It just became more focused. I wanted to get better at anatomy and lighting and shadow and rendering. But a lot of that had to do with the social circle that I had found myself in, and the artist that was sort of helping me along the way. And, he saw a lot of that stuff too, my weaknesses. Because back then, what I was doing was I was just drawing for fun. Like, I would draw my own characters and stuff like that. And I'd say I'd like to do comics, but I'd never really do comics. I would just sketch those characters and stuff like that. And again, that goes back to the problem of, okay, so I'm drawing anatomy a whole bunch. Cool. All right, now let's actually draw some comic books. And when I would draw comic books, it's different, right? Because you're going to start to notice that, like, well, storytelling. When did you study storytelling? Probably not much, if ever, because you're too busy learning how to draw anatomy, right? Or replace anatomy with something else. And that's the thing. So if you're drawing comics, you'll know that there's certain things that you need, and you'll get better at. If that answers, I'm just giving you some extra feedback there. Okay. See you, Billad. I'm sure you already left, but thanks for popping in, man. Claritas Condor. Welcome, welcome. Okay, well, it looks like I just got the text. I'm going to have to wrap this stream up. How long do we stream for? An hour already? Oh, man. I forgot how fast these go by. That's crazy. All right. Let's see if we can get a little bit of drawing in here. Zip Gun is saying I'm still trying to exercise the 80-20 rule. It's just that I see all my flaws and end up spending my time doing studies, making personal projects impossible. Yeah, and sadly, you're in the loop I'm talking about. You'll beat yourself up to the point where you actually won't create anything. And then what is the point when you go, okay, I'm done studying and now I'm going to do comics? I don't know what that is. I know for me, I would just look on forums and go, I'd apply for a job. Yeah, I'd love to do your pencils for your comic. I'll learn as I go, kind of thing, right? I'm a big believer of that, honestly. You know, guys, just if you're lucky enough, and the reason why I say lucky enough is there's so many people that don't know what they want. So if you're lucky enough to know what it is that you want to do, you're I think it's in your best interest to just go all in whatever that means. You know, I don't know if I'd recommend going in debt to get the Cintiq or the Wacom or the thing that's gonna make you. You know, I don't know about any of that stuff. I'm not I won't promote going in debt for anything. I think debt's horrible. But regardless of that, definitely go all into that. So if you want to get an animation, and you know animation's the thing you want to do, I say even if you're not good at animating, start making your own animated shorts, all that kind of stuff. You're naturally going to learn and watch things in the background, or they're going to start coming into your world that's related to that, you know? And just spend the 20 minutes or so before, like once a week, spend like an hour, maybe a Saturday or Sunday when you get up in the morning, grab a cup of coffee or whatever you like, you know, and just spend an hour that week or 2 hours that week studying that thing that you saw. That's the stuff I think will get you the most gain. Because the thing is, like, if you know you want to do comics and you wait until you're good enough to do comics, you're already, once you eventually start, when you become good enough, you're already at such a disadvantage, right? Because all that time, your anatomy might be great, but it might not work in comics because you haven't been able to tell a story with it, right? And all that time, you could have been making stuff and figuring it out. So just be careful with the amount of time you spend on studies. I think studies are great. Studies are important. Studies are how you're going to learn, right? It's a way of learning, I should say. It's a way of learning, and I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm not saying it's the wrong way. Just for me, if I could go back, and I don't know what this means, if I could go back and what that would look like, but I probably would not have studied as much as I did and just go and get right into it. There's so many artists I see that do comics that I like looking at, like comic book art, and it looks like they studied, like they know what they're doing, but do they really, right? Like a lot, for me anyway, like I look at a lot of artists nowadays that look like, you know, they draw like super well, but I don't gravitate to that stuff anymore. For me, I just don't find it interesting. But that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, okay, I'm taking off, you guys. Thank you so much for popping in. I saw a couple new people here. I appreciate you guys popping in. There's no normal time when these streams are going, so I'll see you guys when I see you. Like I said, I've been super busy. Got the baby now. But feel free. There's a whole bunch of links at the bottom, my website, all that stuff. Feel free to check me out on there. Sometimes I post there. The streaming stuff is going to be rare right now just because of even the volume in the house is kind of a little different. But in time, we'll get this back going, I imagine. But stay tuned, and hopefully we'll get some JESOP King going again. That'd be nice, eh? Anyway, okay, thank you guys so much. Enjoy what you guys are doing. Keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.